this was a cool story just because it's something that you kind of knew about in the past, but now it's been more confirmed that this is...
I actually thought it was true, like 6 years ago, and I'm glad to know that it actually is. I erroneously thought that it had been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt because the links were so true. So
a shadow.
A shadow, yes. There's always been talk that Michael Jackson had a considerable hand in the soundtracking of,
okay, I know where you're going there.
of Sonic 3.
Okay.
And that has basically been proven 100% true as of a few days ago.
Off a Huffington Post article, really in-depth article with research.
Michael Jackson was a huge fan of the Sonic games and a fan of Sega in general.
Yeah, this Moonwalker game in the arcade and on Genesis.
Anyone who knew anything about...
he was in the commercials.
Yes. And people who know a little bit more about Michael Jackson knew that he had, I believe it was a 2 or 3 story arcade on Neverland that was almost entirely Sega arcade machines.
They just auctioned off that stuff a couple years ago in a big auction.
So... a lot of people were trying to find these. They noticed that some of the music cues in the game sounded a lot like Michael Jackson songs. And it turns out that they were. The team that was credited for the music is Brad Buxer, Bobby Brooks, Doug Grigsby III, Daryl Ross, Jeff Grace, and Sirocco Jones. Brad Buxer worked with Michael Jackson on the Dangerous album. So there's your first link. And basically, Michael Jackson wanted to go to Sega, and where they were developing Sonic the Hedgehog 3. He went in, got to see it, got to talk with the people who were working on it a little bit, and I believe it was Buxer. Someone had asked him, hey, do you want to work on the soundtrack for this? And Michael Jackson was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I do want to work.
Yeah, it sounds cool. Why not? It's a video game. Yeah.
So... I mean, I'm simplifying what is a very not simple story that I think people will probably read up on more if they're interested. But over time, he worked on it. He would hum out melodies, and he would produce music. He was one of the few. He was the only person really in this group that played games. He would go and he'd play Sonic 2, and he'd kind of get himself in this mindset to write video game music. But they did it at a very high level. He wrote all of his music like he would write music for an album.
Yeah,
like he would write music for an album. And
according to Buxer, I mean, this happened over 4 weeks in '93, and Jackson wouldn't even call him at night to share late at night to share ideas and sing melodies that would get into the game. So like, he was really into this, which is great. I mean, great that he's really into. Like, he was excited to do this.
So the reason, so people are, well, if Michael Jackson was soundtracking a huge game for you, why wouldn't you talk about it?
Why wouldn't you put that in the game and advertise on it?
And there are two theories behind it, and honestly, both sound equally feasible to me, both knowing things about Michael Jackson and things around that time. That was when Michael Jackson was accused of, for the first time, of child molestation.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you are not really going to want to launch your new big game touting that one of the key people who soundtracked it is a famous pop star who is currently crashing and burning because he's been accused of fondling boys. The other thing is Michael Jackson...
Allegedly.
Michael Jackson was a known perfectionist. And Michael Jackson was not particularly happy with how the music sounded when it was squashed down to Genesis-style chiptunes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at this point, I'm not really sure what Michael Jackson was wanting here. I mean, he's played video games before.
His music was in Moonwalker.
Yeah,
like five of his tracks were in Moonwalker.
And it's known that he played games. So, I don't know if it's a misunderstanding of the technology or what, but there's word that he was not happy with how it sounded and did not want his name on the game. Now, it was not said that he did not say he wanted his music taken out, but he did not want his name on the music. And I think what happened was during that time, because of the molestation charges, basically everyone at Sega said, all of his music was taken out.
They said they used a lot of samples from his beatboxing that he did.
Yeah.
And used it as cues, so there you go.
But they said that they did it, that everything was taken out. However, the development team, the original the music team, passed it off, I believe, to another team, and they said flat out, we did not rewrite all of it like we were told to. We used a considerable amount of the music that was originally in there, and Michael Jackson's music is absolutely in Sonic the Hedgehog.
And some of the tracks ended up being songs that he did anyway
later on.
later on. He's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to use it in a song on an album.
Yeah, the ending credit track in 3 is oh God, I can never remember the name. Stranger in Moscow. Yeah. So yeah, there it is. And this is all stuff that, you know, was basically, you know, solidified a few years back when people started overlaying music on top of it, and people knew about his trips to Sega. But to basically have people who were there say, yes.
Finally, yes.
Yes, we did not scrub Michael Jackson's music entirely from the game. So what you are hearing is stuff that he composed, which is pretty cool.
It's a cool story. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's sad how Michael Jackson got accused of all this stuff, and obviously he was never convicted of anything. But when there's tons of smoke, there's probably at least a little fire. That's why I always say when it comes to this stuff, allegedly. But yeah, but he was obviously a great musician. Can't deny him that.